Do you have trouble seeing when you're driving at night? Don't have the confidence to see wildlife before it jumps out in front of you? Or do you find those reflective signs blinding when you drive past so you have to dim your lights? Or maybe you're just sick of wasting money on headlights that don't seem to be any better off than the ones you're trying to replace? Well, we've got the perfect solution for you. So we thought.
Oh, way.
What was that?
Oh, way.
Alright guys, we're so excited. We have the Stedi Copperhead headlight upgrade. These are LED lights. These are a plug and play, so you don't have to try and upgrade your wiring or anything like that. Now, they're an impressive 207% brighter than a 55 watt halogen light and a whopping 1760 lumens per bulb. Now, they have these 100% copper straps, which are designed to absorb and then dissipate the heat away from the LED chip. Now, although these are a lot more energy efficient than your average bulb, they only draw 1.6 amps per bulb and they create less heat. They're very susceptible to extreme heat changes, and that's why they've designed these straps. You might have seen lights like this that have the fan on the back, and the problem with them is if you have sealed headlights, they might be too long to fit inside. You have the rubber boot on the back. A lot of people have to leave that rubber boot off or to cut a hole on the back of them to get them to fit. And the problem with that is you have the fan at the back, which will then be open to dust and water and then susceptible for failure as the fan gets full of dust and water. So another great feature of these is they're actually IP65 rated because of these copper straps. Now you might have seen that rating on a lot of other things like winches, and what that means is the IP is ingress protection. The 6 means that these are completely dust proof, and the 5 means that they're water resistant. So they're not rated to be fully submerged, but they can handle water. So that's great for us four-wheel drivers when we're going down dirt roads and doing river crossings. You're not going to be as likely to have failure in your light as you would as a fan-cooled LED. Another really clever design of this light is that these lights are actually 5700 Kelvin, which is the light that they produce, and that's an identical light to the Stedi spotlights. So if you already have Stedi spotlights or you're looking at getting them in the future, the light out of this will blend perfectly with your spotlight, so you don't have those lights fighting each other. We're very excited to fit these because the lights on this are absolute garbage. I'll pop the bonnet and we'll fit them up. Shouldn't take too long. It's the joys of a plug and play kit. Alright, now so this point in time in the installation where I really should have stood back and just had to think about what I was doing. I was in a rush, we're trying to get this video out, it was getting late. We're trying to push for fortnightly videos and we're being really pressed for time. Now, the straps on the back of these lights, like I said earlier in the video, are 100% copper. That means they're very highly conductive. And I just didn't even think about it. And if you look in the corner of my engine bay, where I am now, there's a relay and there's a circuit breaker. Now when I've tried to install the light, I've shorted out on both of them. A lot of people might say that I should have isolated the battery. I've never done that to change the lights before. The lights are off. I'm not playing with any live wires. I'm really glad I didn't isolate the battery, because if I had have installed that light and that strap didn't touch at that point in time, it could have very well done that when I was traveling on a long trip and I'm not knowing about it. It could have very easily turned into an engine bay fire or vehicle fire. When it shorted out, it really shorted out. Now this is a very rare case, so I'm not saying anything bad about the design of the light. I think the Stedi lights are great. When we went for our drive, I was extremely impressed with these lights. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate. So there's not too many people that are going to be in a scenario like this. Most people are going to be putting these into a sealed headlight, or they're going to have like a proper dust cap at the back. These Colorados have a really unusual design. They have like a skirt on the back of the light. There's slits cut in it and you just push the light in there, so these straps are actually exposed into the engine bay, and if I had to push them in behind that skirt, they wouldn't have been able to breathe like they're designed to, and the light might have failed. So like I said, they're a great design light. I was impressed. This is an unusual scenario, so this certainly isn't going to happen to everyone. But if you are installing these lights and they end up with the straps being exposed in your engine bay, be extremely cautious. Check all the wiring. Would those straps rub through a wire over time over corrugated roads and that? I don't know. It's certainly not something I'd want to risk after I've seen how badly this arced out on me. So I've actually decided to pull these lights back out. We're going to put the old lights back in. I don't know whether I'd fit them or not again. I could go through and completely tidy up all the wiring there and try to move everything for them. Or I could just buy lights that I don't have to worry about this with. I'm probably going to go with different lights. We'll see what happens. But for now, the old lights are in and they're just going to have to do for a while. It's really disappointing because these lights were really great. So anyway, I'll go through what we're going to be doing in the next video at the end of this one. But for now, I'll let you keep going with the video. I just thought I'd give you a bit of an explanation and enjoy the rest.
That's painful. Holy.
Right. What was that?
Holy.
What is that?
They're copper. Hit that. Hopefully I haven't shorted anything out, including the light.
Alright, I'm not sure if I've shorted that light out yet or something else, but I never gave that a thought. It was a bit of an oversight. The tails on those lights are 100% copper, so they're very conductive, and I've shorted it out on the bottom of this relay. Yep, didn't think of it, just changing headlights. Even if I did disconnect my battery to do this, I still wouldn't have thought of that, so I probably would have still shorted out. So I'm just going to tape everything up, try to cover everything. Alright, that's the headlights fitted, but before we go for a test drive, this is what we've got going on over the next couple of weeks. We have here a 2-inch body lift from Mungie. We have this goes with that, it's a steering bearing plate for the steering shaft. We have OCAM wind deflectors to go on the doors. We're going to run a fan on the intercooler, that's the bracket for that, we're still waiting on the fan. We're also waiting, we're going to do a 1-inch engine and transmission lift to get a bit of extra clearance up underneath, and it also helps when we do the SAS kit. It'll bring the sump away from the front diff as well, so you don't have to cut as much out. We have the 2-inch soft ride shackles. We're going to run them in the rear springs, and until we can get in for the SAS kit, we're just going to wind up the torsion bars, and I'll probably have to cut the front body mounts so we can run some decent tyres, maybe get some 33s on there and get rid of those shopping car tyres. I'm going to rebuild the Warn. We've got a Warn 9,500 pound winch. We're going to run the synthetic rope on that. It still has the old steel cable. It's a pretty old winch, but with all the work that we're doing, the budget's starting to run a bit thin, so instead of buying a new winch, we're going to rebuild that old one. I'm really excited about this. The Psycho airbox. So we're going to be installing that. There's a little test I'm going to do with this before I install it, and I'll go through that in a future video. What else have we got? Oh, we got more gear. So we've got plenty going on, plenty of content. We can't get into the fabricators for the canopy until early next month. He's doing some custom tie down points for the canopy to lock the canopy down to the tray, because unfortunately it's bolted from the inside, so we can't fit it out yet. And everyone's got a bit of a waiting time with them at the moment. So they're a custom design. You can buy off the shelf ones, but I really like the design that we've come up with these. They're not as intrusive as some. We're not going to have a permanent fixture on the canopy. It's something we're going to be able to remove and put the jack legs in, and you won't even know they've been there. And then he's also going to do the roof rack as well, so we can fit that O-cam rooftop tent, and then we can finally start fitting out the canopy. It just feels like forever. So we've got plenty of gear to fit to that. We've got a little dual battery system and everything, and then finally get into that. So anyway, till then, we're going to take this baby for a drive, and we're going to test out these lights and see how good they are. They look amazing. We tested them in the shed before and turned the lights out. They look really bright. So we'll go for a drive down the same road we went, and we tested out the headlights before we changed them, and we do a bit of a comparison to see what they look like side by side.